All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Katie Berger and I'm principal at Valley High School. Miss Alberta Christie will be back in about 5 minutes. She had to run home to go get something, and we wanted to welcome you to the Valley Adams Neighborhood Community Meeting, and it's a joint meeting between Valley High School and the neighborhood. And today we're going to be doing just some quick little Valley updates, and Miss Christie asked us to present some information that we've been presenting to parents on fentanyl. So I'm going to have my assistant principal in charge of counseling present some information, and also we have one of our school police officers, Officer Rodriguez, here to answer any questions. So just a few quick Valley updates. Our FACE liaison, we have something at Valley High School in San Antonio called the FACE liaison. It's family and community engagement liaison. That was Miss Christina Capacete. She is no longer with us, but the good news is that she was promoted, and she's now working at our after school program. So if you need anything, and this is for parents and the community, if you need anything, please contact our community resource support line, which we have there. Hopefully in our next meeting, we'll have a new liaison. Also, I want to celebrate something that we had on December 9th, and that was the winter posada, which we had, which was a Valley tradition that we started many years ago. And we brought it back this year. This is the first time we've done it after obviously the closure and the pandemic. And it's a celebration of the season. We have our culinary program, actually a prepared food, hot chocolate. I think it's called champurrado. And pozole, tacos. We fed the community. We had games and prizes and just a great time. Also, one other piece of Valley news I wanted to share is our boys soccer team. We're now in their winter sports season. Our boys soccer team plays Division I, and they went to what's called the Central Valley Showcase, where over 30 teams competed. Not only did they come up as champions, but they also were undefeated in every game. That's a picture of them. Last year they were Orange League champions. And hopefully they just were undefeated. I think they just swept last night. So if you're interested in attending any soccer games, let me know. They are free, and you can come in and see the boys play, and also the girls too. But again, we're looking forward to a great season with soccer. Now I'm going to turn this over to my assistant principal, Miss Salcedo. Ms. Salcedo is in charge of our counseling program, and one of the things that we do in Santa Ana Unified at Valley High School is we try to support the students with more than just academics, because if students need help in other places, it's often hard for them to focus on school. And we do have an agreement, actually a partnership with something called Conexiones, which is a drug intervention program. And we are now working on trying to present information to the students regarding the dangers of fentanyl that we're seeing out on the streets. Fortunately for Valley High School, we have not encountered any of it yet. We're very careful, but as Ms. Salcedo will show you, the statistics are pretty alarming about how much we're seeing people taking it knowingly or mostly unknowingly. So I'm going to turn this over to her. This is a presentation that was developed by our district to present to parents, but we've condensed it to make it a little bit shorter and more important for the community. And again, we have Officer Rodriguez here to support us as well. So here's Ms. Salcedo.
Okay, thank you guys. So I'll start by saying that I went with my counseling team to the sheriff department training on fentanyl. It was about 4 hours long. You want me to? You're gonna need to do it because I got my notes right. It was about 4 hours long, and they talked to us a lot about teenagers and their brains and why they would do certain things, and their development and all those kinds of things. And fentanyl is one of those things we want to make sure that we bring awareness to, because it's becoming increasingly, they're seeing it more and more in the community. And one of the things Ms. Berger made a good point about was that we are seeing more overdoses, which the families are actually requesting for us to change that name to poisoning, because a lot of the students, not students, a lot of the people that are having that are dying from this did not know that there was fentanyl in the pill that they were taking. Okay, so okay, so 4 out of 10, every 10 pills has fentanyl, some kind of fentanyl in it, and we're not talking about prescription pills. We're talking about illicit drugs. Pills that are being fabricated and made. So what they're doing is they're pressing fentanyl into pills that look like prescription pills. And so there's no way of telling how much fentanyl is in each one of those pills. And so this is just one case where, a Fullerton man had enough fentanyl to kill 12 million people. And this is really important because just the amount of fentanyl needed to kill one person can go on the tip of a pencil. And we'll show you a picture of that in a minute here. So what we're going to talk about is what is fentanyl, how big the problem has become, what it is, and then what we can do as a community about it. And there's some things, even though it's rapidly, the cases are rapidly increasing, there's some stuff that we can do. I did in the counseling center, I asked some of my students, do you guys know what fentanyl is? And some of them said, what is that? Right? So they do need to know what it is and the potential for having something like this in a pill that they may think is a prescription that they're just getting from a friend. So all of that kind of awareness is really important. All right. So fentanyl is an opioid class of drugs. So you have different kinds of opioids, prescriptions. Opioids are used to treat pain, right? You have illegal fentanyl, and I want to point out too, fentanyl is prescribed as well to some people for severe pain. So illegal fentanyl, however, is 500 to 100 times more powerful than heroin and morphine. And when you get into illegal fentanyl, you just don't know the dosing. You don't know how much is actually in there. And then heroin is also an illegal opioid. Okay, so some examples of prescription opioids: oxycodone, hydrocodone, fentanyl, morphine, methadone. Those are all things that are given as prescriptions, which also can be very dangerous if they are not prescribed to the person they're being given, but they're also being counterfeited as well. So a person could think, oh, hey, I'm going to give you this, an oxycodone pill, right? I'm going to give this to you. And I got this from my doctor. If that's not true, it's highly likely, like we said, 4 out of 10 pills like that contain fentanyl, because they told us in our training, they put them in these like funnels, right? That have some residue sometimes of that fentanyl left on the outside. Okay. And so they also said you could have one pill that you get from your friend. This is what teenagers need to know. One pill you could get from your friend that you go, ooh, that was an okay pill. I want to get another one from you. I lived, I'm fine. Right. And then the next pill, because we don't know how much residue got into that particular pill, the next pill could actually kill the person. It's like chocolate chip cookies, right? You're putting chocolate chip, you guys know what I'm talking about? You're putting chocolate chips into the dough, and you really don't know in each cookie how much chocolate chips are in each cookie, things like that. And they taught us that in the training, and I thought that was a really good analogy to teach the kids, like, we just don't know. That's what they said. The kids will say, I got it from this dealer last time and it was fine, but the next time it might not be fine. And then this is how much fentanyl would be needed to actually, have a person die.
Can I point out too?
Yes.
That it's not only teenagers. I know that there was an Angels baseball player
that died of an overdose. He thought he was buying a Demerol or Vicodin or some kind of pain pill from another adult. And it turned out to be laced with fentanyl. So it's not only kids, it's adults that are doing this as well. And also recreational drugs that is laced with it too.
Okay, so what does fentanyl look like? Prescription fentanyl comes in, it says the form of transdermal patches, lozenges, tablets, and nasal spray. But most recent overdoses are related to illegal fentanyl. They look like this, but again, you can't always tell the difference between a pill that's prescribed and a pill that is, has, been copied or manufactured by someone. And so that's one of the awareness things that we want to really get out to the community is if it's not been prescribed to you, you should not be taking this. Okay. All right. How is fentanyl used? It can be swallowed, snorted, smoked, or injected. So there's lots of different methods to fentanyl. Okay, so how big is the problem? Let's look at what's actually happening here. So if you look at 2015 and you look at the trajectory here and what's happened, that's huge.
And that says related deaths underneath the little things. It's the amount of deaths.
Where do you see that?
associated with-
Oh, annual oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fentanyl related deaths in Orange County.
They can't see the heading there.
So it says that you can see the big jump. And in fact, fentanyl is the #1 substance found right now in overdoses, or we could call them poisonings. Because the people don't know that that's what they're taking. Okay, so why is this trend occurring? Fentanyl seizures. Okay, so, oh, actually, I'm in a different one. So it looks like the number of fentanyl seizures has increased by 142%. So, and they, they're seizing more and more of fentanyl. It says the number of fentanyl seized by CBP in the Southwest border has increased by 142% in just 1 year. Okay. All right, so they had us do a little test when we did the training, and they asked us which one is fake and which one is real, and we couldn't tell. We were just half and half, and trying to answer the question. So they look very similar: Adderall and oxycodone. And this is from the DEA capturing some of these. Okay, so fentanyl, okay, so well, you can do it. So they taught us this as well. So I'm going from what I've been taught, right? Fentanyl is easy to get. So what they're saying is that there's these social media sites that where all you have to do is is people. I know you were saying it's not just kids, but kids can get it. They said they have these sites where they send emojis. And I guess those certain emojis, they showed us on one of our trainings, those certain emojis mean I want to come and get that. Now, and our officers might have a little more information on that, but I don't know. We've seen, we saw like it's very, very easy for them. They just text it, a location, and then they can go get it. And sharing at parties, homes, out with friends. So what can we do? So prevention, some of the things, just having people know. I have a 16-year-old son, and it's just I can't tell him enough. Please, 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 please. If someone's giving you something, don't take anything that, even if they say this is just a Xanax. That's the problem, is it may not be Xanax, and that's what they're seeing. So prevention, by having them, understand healthy choices and not engage even at all in substance abuse. Screening and identifying people with substance abuse issues. We have all of that, like as Ms. Berger said, we have that at our school with Conexiones. And we really, really try to identify those students who are struggling, so that maybe they're doing, what are they called, baits, right? But we try to get them with a program, because we don't want that to escalate either. And then this is one of the ones that I was really happy, because at the end of the training that we had, they gave us naloxone, and I was able to take it home with me. I got a training and was able to take it home with me and have it, actually I have it in my backpack. And I carry it around, because it's not harmful. If for some reason you think that someone is overdosing and you give that to them, there's no harm at all. I could give it to myself right now and I would be okay. Okay, so we figure if someone seems to be, and there are signs, overdosing, that it would be better to be safe than,
Is that the other name for Narcan or?
Narcan, yes, that's why I was looking at
Okay,
things, yeah, Narcan, okay. And then this is a good one too. I've actually had family members that have been benefited by this law. And I think it's really, really important that if you're with someone in a party or you're with someone outside or anybody is with someone that is doing a drug, and then becomes unconscious, for them to call to get emergency medical treatment, that they may not be penalized for being a part of that, which is really important because I've seen it actually save lives. So that they know that they're not going to get in trouble. So it looks like it can protect the people from simple drug possession charges. And maybe you guys know more about that too, because that's something I'm not 100%. But I do know that people are not as afraid, and kids can be a little bit more like, you know what, I'm going to stay here with you instead of leaving you, if they know that this law exists. So that's a good thing for them to know. And then, okay, so they talked to us, this was a lot of questions that I had, like, what are the, I don't want to give it to someone that's not, really, overdosing or whatever. And we have had some incidences where we see people, and I will ask when I see a student that something's going on and they say, this is definitely not that. So I'm trying to really gauge, what is that? What does it look like? And what does it not look like? And a lot of times what they're saying is they're completely knocked out, right? So that we would kind of know that it was something that we might want to administer Narcan if they were not, conscious with us.
Yes,
Slower, shallow breathing, less than one breath every 5 seconds, snoring, gurgling, choking sounds, pale blue or gray lips, fingernails or skin, clammy, sweaty skin. We usually have our nurse on site with us. I know that our officers all have Narcan as well and have been trained. All of our counselors have Narcan right now. I have it. So, they've shown us videos where in a second it brings the person back. So it's actually really, really, yes. Mhm.
Okay, how do you do this? Is it an injection? Where do you inject it? And so forth.
So there's different ways to do it. The thing that they gave us was the nasal spray. So I believe that there is a injection where by needle, but they weren't, I don't think they give us that, right? But the paramedics use it, he's saying. So but we get the nasal spray. So it's basically like almost like that medicine that you spray up into your nose. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Floating.
And thank goodness we haven't had to use it at all at Valley High School. So we've been super fortunate that we have not.
No, yeah.
Can you give it the whole itself?
They give you like a little video. They gave us a training on it, and they told us there was you give it once, and then you have to wait a certain number of minutes to see if it takes effect. And then you can give it one more time, but you shouldn't give it again between those 2 minutes. There's like a little training that they give you, so you do it one time. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is
So do I understand you saying that this counteracts fentanyl?
Yes, so what happens is fentanyl, it floods the receptors, your pain receptors, and floods you with dopamine, like so much more than a regular. So you'll have like your oxycodone, right? It gives you your pain receptors, it kind of blocks everything. This just over floods it to the point your body can't take it anymore and it shuts down. So that's what they showed us too. They showed us M&Ms in a bowl, and they showed us, okay, this is what a regular, oxycodone pill does, little M&Ms. This is what this pill does, little M&Ms. They showed us what fentanyl, just that tip of that pencil, what that does. The little bowl just overflowed it, and they let it keep going. Your body just can't handle it. So yeah, and then so this will stop that from happening right away. It's like just in seconds. They showed us a video of that. Yeah. So this is something that we can all do. I believe that they now have it at the pharmacy for anybody to carry, because it's that it's not, It's not something that can harm someone. If you make a mistake and you see someone on the floor and you think that that's happening, you're not gonna harm anybody by doing it. So they are giving it at the pharmacies for people. And so carry it. It's almost like you're carrying, you know, a CPR, your, certification, or you're carrying maybe your little mask or something like that, for people. Yes.
So if you go to CVS, do they encourage you to take a training course to be able to use it properly?
So I don't actually know the answer to that question. They told us that you could get it at a pharmacy. I do know that my training, or all the people's trainings, I don't know about you officers, but it was about an 11-minute video, and they really, they're really trying to get it into as many, because you saw that I mean, a dramatic increase. They're just trying to get it into as many people's hands as they can. Yeah, just like, someone knowing CPR is like a big deal. They really want this because it's occurring so much. So I would ask, and they do have a little pamphlet inside, but I'm sure they would have some directions for
You
you.
could probably go online and watch that 11-minute video.
Definitely.
To help train yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Or this might be something that a presentation, I don't know what Tom is doing, but a presentation and maybe showing that 11-minute video, take it back to Carl, and, at a Conway meeting, as far as the training for that, since it's now becoming part of our, my car, I have, emergency kit, in case anything happens, but now it looks like we're asked to carry this too. And the more people that can get trained on that, people be trained.
Yeah, and then so that's another thing that can happen too, is just as many people can watch the video, and then they can have that as well. So what I've been talking about mostly is like poisonings, right, from illegal fentanyl, but there are overdoses of prescription fentanyl for prescription opioids. And so another awareness piece, another thing that we can do is look at when they're giving us pain relievers, when they're giving your child pain. A lot of times they do it at the dentist, right? After they get their wisdom teeth out, they'll give them an opioid. And so requesting if there's any alternatives is a really, good thing to do if possible, right? Because people will get it one time, and then that's how they're getting addicted sometimes to the opioids. So there's different types of pain relievers that we can request. And so just knowing about these things is important too. Okay, also all of us securing and disposing of our medications, just not leaving them. I'm bad about this. I have whatever I have is there. I'm not thinking about, where it is or who's gonna take it. And I don't think of my kids doing it, but you just don't know, right? So having those secure and disposing of them.
A lot of times that the kids might get it out of the medicine cabinet of grandma or mom or dad or whatever. So just being careful about that.
Just so you know, CVS and Walmart, I know for CVS, they have a big box next to the pharmacy window, and that's where you put in your needle, expired medications, test strips. You put it there. They don't recommend you flushing them in the toilet because then it contaminates the sewer. The sewer, they're processing it to keep it clean. So they're separating water from the matter so that they can reuse the water. We don't want fentanyl in our water system.
So they have it at the pharmacies then?
The pharmacy has a box that all expired medicines or anything that has to do with medication you put there.
That's good to know.
And it's all going in the-
Got a ton of expired medicine. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Not fentanyl.
A ton.
Blood pressure medicine.
It's true because as we age, we have a lot of, that's aspirin. We don't use this often. And we get a lot of it.
Yeah.
I took a lot of it to the CVS and I dumped it. all.
Yeah.
I told my wife to put it in the truck.
Yeah. And so that may have some, obviously they have some website there. Then resources as well. People who need help, they do have different medication assisted treatments to help people to slowly, gradually come off of these types of drugs. This is at ochealthinfo.com. It's /adept, so if people want to look at that or take a picture of it. And then, we also have crisis lines and, other websites that can, help. Our, schools are good resources, our officers are good resources for these kinds of things too. Medical facilities, and so I really appreciate you guys listening to, I just went to only a 4-hour thing, and so I'm learning too about all this stuff, and it was really eye-opening for me, and so then I came back and thought, well, let me start to just talk about it, and let's start having people become more aware of what's going on. And I don't know, our officers are here, they can kind of add some things and answer some questions and things like that. They came, I don't know what you guys have seen or to add to what I've said. They want to see that.
So one of the things that you discussed about administering the medicine itself, the Narcan. If we'll compare it to alcohol, some people have one drink and it affects them in a certain way. The other person takes it and it's like, oh my gosh, how much did they have to drink? And you're like, what's that, a drink? And so this has the same effect. So you have a drug that I'm not a known drug user. I'm assuming everybody in here is not known drug users. And someone has what she had up there was next to the penny, right? And that little bit. Now, to me, so say if I was to actually ingest this on an accidental reason or whatever, it could have, okay, I start being affected by it, but then it goes away with one of the doses, right? But then you take it and I give you a dose and you start coming to, but then it continues to do what it's doing. That's why we have to give you another dose. So I've seen them have to give as many as 4 doses. So the idea that no, it's one dose per thing. So the importance there is that we administer the dose to slow it down, continue to get medical treatment, right? The paramedics, so we can get you to the hospital. And the paramedics have the injectables, right? So they're going to be the ones that are going to be injected. So you tell them, hey, I gave them a dose at 6 p.m. I gave them another dose at, it could be even longer, 6:05, 6:06, or 6:07. We're going to be specific so that they have that record when they go to the hospital. And that's one of the big things is that it's not just one dose, isn't just an automatic lifesaver. It might be, it might not be. So bottom line though, is at least one is going to slow it down, right? That's the goal. And sometimes we're too late. That's the bottom line too. It's not because of lack of want. It's just the major effects that it has on the body. It's very serious. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very big, we have a lot of those calls for service each day. And because we have it, the fire department has it, it helps. We do save people with it, but it's sad that we're even having to, right? It's like people are more willing to risk it based on the availability of the drugs to help counteract it, right? That's what it appears to us as. I'm not saying that they're intentionally doing it. It could be. But if you ask people, and the partner here will tell you, is this fentanyl? Oh yeah, it's fentanyl. And they know it. It's not like it's an accidental thing all the time. It's literally, oh no, it's fentanyl. And they know it. But they're willing to risk it, And again, we've had it where we've had somebody else, one of their friends administer the Narcan to them. We got there still too late. And they tried to save them, but it's too late.
What are you actually seeing in your, out in the field and also in your training? Out of the 400 that we have so far for this year, what is the range? And do they know, like you were saying, is it accidental, more accidental, or they, like you're saying, they're purposely, they know it is, they've tried it, but they're taking a chance. What is the range of people that got to see? Do you have a graph or anything that's like more younger people, middle people, or all ages?
One of the things is like we're not, because we haven't seen any at school, but what we do know is our students, for the most part, do not know about it.
Wow.
And so that's one of the reasons why Jessica got trained. And we have our counselors trained, is we're going to be pushing out information to the students, because oftentimes students are very trusting. And somebody's, I took a cookie. Well, who gave you the cookie? Well, I don't know, or whatever. So something could be in a cookie, something could, like she was saying, be in a pill that they think is a Xanax. But that's what our goal is to educate the students. They should not be taking anything, any illicit drug. It could even possibly be in marijuana, right? And,
I call it being cut into other drugs. It's cheap. It comes from China. So in order to maximize profits, what do they want to do? They want to, it's like watering down ranch dressing, right? How do I make it get longer? So I'm gonna add some water to it. It's gonna be a little bit more watery, but it's gonna have the flavor for the most part, and you can have it on your salad, that's fine. But in this case here, you know, the people who manufacture the drugs are saying, well, I can make the original stuff go farther and make more profit by cutting this into it. So it's being cut into everything, you know, things that aren't just uppers or downers, it's across the board, right? So, you know, where you have things like cocaine, you have things like methamphetamine that are technically uppers. What you'll find is when you have something like fentanyl in there, it's a downer. So you'll see both of these symptoms, but it's when they crash, that's the hard part, right? Because that's what fentanyl does, is it's a downer, if you will. So, but they're doing it across the board with all things. Like she said, prescription drugs that it's from, you know, I got it from my friend, but it's a Xanax, it's okay. But it's being cut into everything. And so, and I think for the party thing you were referring to, I don't have any knowledge of where to order from. But they're putting it into things that look like Skittles, M&Ms. So it's very appealing to the, hey, let's, and they may even refer to it. I don't know, the kids may refer to them as that, I'm not sure. But they're putting them into things like that. So again, like even with Halloween candy, you know, you gotta be aware of where it's coming from. Is it wrapped still? Does it look like it was tampered with? You know, because there are sick people out there, unfortunately, that want to do things to the kids. So, yes, ma'am.
When we were talking about the Skittles and the M&Ms and so forth, Halloween, no kids had the candy unless it was in like a church or a venue or so forth. Parents were scared. I don't know about you, but we didn't have trick or treaters in our area at all because of the fact that they were showing how these drugs look just like children candy, the Skittles, M&Ms, Mike and Ike's, you know, and so forth. My question is, you can be contaminated just by touching it
Correct.
and get that.
Air-
So
airborne as well.
I didn't know about airborne.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Matt's. So if you're coming there, the best thing to do is to carry gloves, disposable gloves with you at all times. Is that correct?
If you're gonna administer it, yeah, because you don't want,
Well, we don't know, but you see anybody on the ground taking precaution to assume that that's going to happen.
100%.
You know, carry in any medical, carry gloves, you know, disposable gloves.
And we do that also as administrators and our security guards when they're looking through the some things that we find with students, vapes, anything, they do always have their gloves on there, see? And they usually use a pen and they kind of don't touch anything.
Good.
Yeah, because that's really important to note that you can be, yeah.
It can be that what happened was a police officer went to touch a victim that was on the floor. Fentanyl. They had to give her, not right, and she collapsed right then and there. Just by that's just how bad this thing is.
when I say airborne, it has to be disturbed. So
This
disturbed. So say it's on top of me and or it's on top of a car or a seat of a car.
Mhm.
And I'm in that car and I go to put my knee on the seat and you know how the air comes out sometimes? Well, you have that air blowing, if you will, and now it's in the air. Well, that's when it's an issue.
Okay.
Things like that.
Officer Rodriguez, your school police, and what are you seeing out there? You
So
know,
I want to reemphasize what the administration principal AP said, where we haven't seen this at a school per se, but I have seen it in the field out of the school. And like my partner said here, I've made contact with individuals and these days, one of the first things I ask them point blank, is that fentanyl? You'd be surprised. They're bold. They tell me, yes, it is fentanyl. And I ask them, do you understand that's going to kill you? Yes, I do. They're very bold. They know about it.
they don't
Um,
care. And they
but-
don't care.
What's that?
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care. You know, and my partner can attest to this. You know, I've spoken to people who are addicted, and I ask them, why are you doing this? Simple answer, because I like that getting high. They like that lifestyle. It's a choice for a lot of them. I've seen many of them, most of them, but a lot of them it's choice. basically. The other point I want to address and bring home is that students may not know about fentanyl, right? But students today and even adults, we live by our cell phones, literally. Students do homework on their cell phones. Students communicate on their cell phones. Okay, students engage in planning fights on cell phones. Students engage in selling narcotics via cell phones. Students engage in passing on a handgun from one location to another via cell phones. Now, with that said, the AP mentioned here there's emojis, and I think that as adults, we need to be educated on what those some emojis mean, because fentanyl can be laced with pretty much any drug, and there are specific emojis that the Department of Justice have developed that will indicate, for example, a diamond. A diamond is methamphetamine. So if it's an emoji that you see on your child, your grandson, right, with that kind of emoji, that could be maybe an indication, a clue of something. You got to put the pieces together, the puzzle together. Another one, broccoli. What is broccoli? An emoji with the broccoli stands for marijuana, right? A needle
I didn't
with
know
two. A needle with a drop of blood indicates that the person has heroin, right? A stack of dollars that's wrapped up with a kind of a gold line in the middle indicates that the dealer, okay, has good stuff, right? So these are all the emojis that I think we, as educators in the field, as educators in the classroom, we need to be knowledgeable and know about. Because, for example, for me and for him, it could be a call of let's just say it could be a counseling call, right? Or it could be a call of somebody making a threat, criminal threat, right? And sometimes we get consent to the cell phone. And if you start seeing these clues, this emojis on the phone, again, that could lead into something else. Okay. It could lead to something bigger that we can uncover, or you as a parent can uncover and stop. Okay. Recently I had to stop, I had to scoop it outside, and it was a jar about 28 grams. And I used 28 grams because it was marijuana, but it was in a jar that looked like it was Oreo cookies. No, what was inside was not Oreo cookies, but how they disguise, right, the product, right? By using a little jar with, supposedly Oreo cookies. But for all we know, that marijuana could be laced with fentanyl, right? So.
Wow, that's a question.
I have a, yes, ma'am.
So you could you get arrested if you see all
No. You cannot mention arrest. If I have a list of those emojis, I can email them to you, and you can put them over here so they can get an idea, a visual idea of what it is. Here we go. Who do I send it to?
Send it to us.
And we'll also we'll email this presentation to Miss Christie, so you can then email it out to, I mean, I don't know, do you?
I'll email it to Frank,
Okay,
and then he will disperse it out among the neighborhood associations.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Do we have anybody on
Oh, I don't ask.
You know, that hurts the heck out of me? We went through a lot of time to put this program together for the public, okay?
What is it called?
Ms. Berger and her staff
Emojis.
first started out, we did it on their website because they had it. And then we said, we need to get this out to the neighborhood.
You can just show it.
Oh, there you go.
We printed out hundreds of these flyers to be distributed on our email, you got website and everything. And we said, okay, let's put it so that they can be at home. Okay, they're coming in for work. and have that, so for the first time ever. And I didn't know how it was going to work. I really hate, I do not do social media. I do not, I mean. My phone is just a phone, no applications whatsoever, and everybody laughs at me. But we put all of this together, the city did. For you to learn about this and stay in your home through Zoom, okay? Nobody on Zoom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody know our council member, Bill Sarah, and his wife Wendy, is joining us. I mean, you know,
Why do we lose so many of people? They're, the COP meetings used to be jam packed.
absolutely, what is happening? And they want to come, right, and blame the city, blame the police department, blame the schools, you know, we didn't know, or anything else. You don't care, like you said, I'd rather die, I don't care, I still want to get.
Term is habit. And what happens is with the pandemic, the social media, the negativity that now this country has, it comes down to that. The unrest, the untrust of our representative, our officers. But that's where it comes from. It's a very complex psychological
To change a lot of things.
phenomenon for the whole country.
I even encourage you with the 25. Jay, right?
So now your odds are good.
Don't bother, I have the winning ticket.
You have some more, I was looking for my brown bag, there it is. But anyway, I don't know, Councilman Becerra. You're seeing the same thing, right? You know, and so forth. What is it? We can't do anything more, and you can't be blamed for it because of the fact that you don't want to listen.
I think what we're seeing right now, and I noticed this over the holidays, so a lot of events that usually are more well attended. Or, you know, still, people are still easing into, when you listen to the news, and there's a new variant B.1.4.5.9.3, whatever, right? So there's still that prevalence of fear out there about coming out in public and engaging with each other. So I think you're gonna see more of it, which is people are kind of taking their time. They're not cannonballing into it. They're kind of just reading into it. So I wouldn't try to answer just how that news. I'm not, but I agree with you. Because you don't want this information. Talk to your officers and others. I think it's important to participate. You know, isn't often they're just showing up, and so showing up to these meetings helps folks get a lot of valuable information.
It looks a little blurry, yeah.
But even not showing up, participating, I mean. How more complicated is this? This is Zoom.
That's
You know,
good.
that, you know, you can eat your dinner, right? Stay in your pajamas. You don't have to come out. But this is important, you know, to help you save your life. That's out there, and it's good nothing for you yourself. And anyways,
Well, the thing that we're asking for that is those, your people here are gonna touch 10 people. I'm gonna ask you guys to touch 10 people that you know of. And then this will multiply this number by 10 via social media, conversations, dinners. And just let them know the critical aspect that Roberta is saying. We're gonna have the tool. If you need them, ask them, the tools are here. Zoom, Roberta, the city, councilman. The tools are here, we just need to let people be aware of them.
like I said, you know, I hope that's confident with you. Because this is not out on the city road or anything like that. To invite the school to come in and do a presentation and show that 11-minute life-saving film on how to apply that. Start with it in, Norcan, okay, start with it in on that, you know, and then also warn them. Okay, when you come up above, wear gloves, you know, and that's the whole thing. And I'm glad to see, you know, this humanitarian law, because it's a humanitarian law like a Good Samaritan. If you go in an automobile accident, and you're trying to help a person and something goes wrong, you can be sued. And now they're saying with this epidemic of fentanyl and drug overdoses, you're gonna be protected. So I hope more people will be. But once again, that's telling me that our kids and people have no. I mean, they'd rather just die and get high. They have no hope for their future. And that has to be turned around. And what is it that they can get to have self-worth, value, okay? And let them know that their life is worthwhile. And I think the churches need to have more positive program on all the churches, you know, every denomination whatsoever. Because when you come in and see people rather die and get high than think about another day, you know, that they can do something, that means they've given up. And we've got to come in and turn that around somehow, so.
Do we have any other questions for our school police department? So the way it works is that anything that happens at school is normally dealt with through our school police department, Centennial Unified. And then sometimes we do call in the city police department, anything out on this like parking or traffic, that would be city police. But are there any other questions for school police at all before we finish?
Just keep doing a good job. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep the number 0.
Yeah.
Let's give, first of all, I'm sorry I forgot your assistant principal's name.
Jessica Salcedo.
Jessica, I knew. It started with a J. I'm getting old. Jessica and Mr. Berger. Officer Rodriguez and Corporal Chechen. Pretty close.
Thank you guys for coming. We work very closely with our school police department. You know, a lot of things that we do administratively, like if we got like drugs, for example, you know, we do, and we actually do have Officer Romo, his office is in there, and so he is on campus for most days, but if he's not available, he's also helped with the other school. So if he's not available, we call dispatch and they get somebody like Officer Rodriguez. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
And then we can send you guys the presentation if you'd like, share it with you if we want to disseminate it.
You know what, I can actually, I think I have Frank, you emailed me, so I can just give it, we can give it directly to Frank.
Okay.
We also have the articles, so you can always forward it.
Right. And everything.
Okay.
Now, this portion of our meeting is for the Santa Ana PD to give us some update of what's going on.
Well, I don't know how to talk that long.
So you want
You know-
to change something like that?
You know.
We need to.
Oh.
For JFK transportation buses, okay, I mean, you know. the school
I'm
went-
Ready.
Because we have the sports center there, they put, you know, it's a red curve. I have to go. You know, renew my driver's license, and they said, can you park in a red curve? Oh, no. The curve is painted red. And the school has no bus parking, all the way down from right to center, and then on the other side of center, it's where they can park. They have been parking their buses there for 3 hours. Okay, and even on Saturday. So I had to call the traffic division and go, okay. We were nice calling school police to contact JFK, you know, to tell them to move their bus because we couldn't back out. We could not back out of our driveways and so forth because our street's very low. So guess what? They're ticketing you. Thanks to the PD. It's now the parking enforcement are ticketing these buses, and I said, isn't it interesting? When I was with Citibank, I started that, helped them start that company. JFK, it's Janelle, Floyd, and Kevin. Boyd was the father, he passed away about 10 years ago. And now I told them, I don't think your father would appreciate the way you're doing your business, you know, from somebody that helped you start that business. But thank you, because now they are dropping off the kids and parking someplace else. It's on there, but it was a real problem, so. I know, not a crowd, thank them so much, but once again, it's now where it's, if you have any problems with buses or something on your street that shouldn't be there, you have to call Santa Ana PD because of the fact it's a street, it's what we were told on that, so. Yeah, we've been complaining about your bus service, you know, for this.
And what will happen is Santa Ana, then we'll, I think, route it to, they take the call, but then we get the call on a radio and say, we need to have that bus moved or whatever, so then our staff will then go out there and notify.
If it's
Yeah,
there, and
yeah.
they don't have parking control, because parking control now is importantly everything.
Yeah,
Everything, so on that, but they aren't taking.
And we do notify people where to park there, but normally they're buses that are from other schools coming in mostly for athletic competition. So we do notify them where, but they don't always listen, I think.
But anyway,
So instead of me telling you things that you don't care to hear, I want to know what you have questions about. That's kind of the easier thing here for you guys.
Well, I
You
have,
already have.
I have two questions. First, a commendation. I want to thank you that our 252 homes here on Laurelhurst have been regularly visited by you. That I keep an eye on you guys, by the way.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. You guys have gotten stolen cars, you guys have gotten, because you guys are patrolling, and out of fluke, I mean, you're checking things out and you're catching people, so thank you. The second thing is, we see tremendous amount of red light flying. Did the cameras not work through the court system? Because it's horrid, and that's just not in Santa Ana, but everywhere. They're running that yellow light, a solid red light, and they still run through it. I stay behind, people have literally honked at me, and there's been a car running, and I just go like this to the car behind me. You know, look at the guy, I would have gotten killed, had I rushed like I always have, but now I don't. I just wait for the traffic. Do we not have enough officers? Traffic control officers that can direct these issues?
So knowing when and where somebody's gonna run a red light,
You know, it's like a random thing.
you're at, Greenville and Edgar one day and, Bristol and Warren another, and it's you driving, so maybe it's the person, right? I don't think that there's a general location in the city where I could say, oh, that light, people always just run it just because. It's the person. So to address something like that, that's a little bit more difficult. We do have a traffic unit. It's not as big as it used to be. We used to have over 25 motor officers.
Okay, I remember that.
We don't have that anymore. Actually, we maybe even have more than that, but we don't have that anymore. For whatever reasons, above my pay grade. We have the staffing that we have. And as far as traffic goes, your red light camera question,
Yeah.
I don't have numbers, right? I don't know how long those went
They've
away.
all been removed, yeah.
Yes, but they passed a resolution city-wise that we got rid of those.
Oh, wow.
So I know the city of Anaheim did the same thing, and then we followed suit with that. She might have some knowledge on that.
As a banker in Citibank, and we had customers all over the place, cities that were, had accounts for the red light. It wasn't a problem as far as Santa Ana, because we had an officer, on there. I do know that the officer were reviewing all of those red light violations, okay? Because the company that was doing, well, let's just say they weren't the most upright business people that you can. So, right, so a lot of cities canceled throughout Orange County, those red lights. Some of them still have, Garden Grove still have them, but Santa Ana moved out. But those tickets that were being done was being reviewed by one of our police officers, Chief Walters, made sure of that. you know, to make it sure. But the company, because of the fact that I was a business development officer. And we had a business account for these red light. Yeah, it was the owners of these companies that were, was not on the up and up, so. Cities start coming. up.
Because I thought, not unbeknownst to me with that information, I thought it was a good term. I mean, they're sure to be.
Sure, well, I mean, nobody wants. You know, with there's two different types of roads. You have intersections, right? You have broadsides and then you have veranders. So when we had the cameras, the veranders went up because people slammed on the brakes. The person I thought they were gonna go and oops, I thought you were gonna go, I thought you were gonna stop and then I started red and I don't want a ticket and. So front door, or, excuse me, front bumpers in my back seat and you know, here we are. So it cut down on the side collisions, the broadsides, but it increased in the others, right? And that's just a natural way of driving, right? But I will tell you that it has been proven that traffic enforcement is a direct relation to how many major collisions we have in these cities. So the more enforcement there is, the less you should have accidents. Because of the reasons you're saying, I don't want to take it, I don't want to take it, I don't want to take it. Obviously, street racers is a big issue right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Southern California wide. It's not specific to Santa Ana, it's not specific to Orange County. I would say that LA County is even worse than we are. But we have people that are out on the weekends, I think 2 days a week. Trying to combat that, and they partner up with neighboring cities. And so say, for example, somebody from Garden Grove, an officer is sent from Garden Grove, a couple officers sent from Irvine, somebody sent from Huntington Beach. What we do then is we take those 3 departments plus ours, and we can go to any of those cities as a group. And we can, if they follow on social media, right, you start talking about that, where all these people are out racing, then they can go to, say, Huntington Beach, and they all will go together as a group. And they will do enforcement, you know, tow cars, and when they impound these cars, you know, they're 30-day impounds typically. And that's expensive to get out. You know, I'm talking upwards of $1,500 to $2,000.
And they use it as.
Yeah, and so, and it's also a misdemeanor for that type of stuff, so. They are doing things with that, and I can tell you that it has not been as bad here in Santa Ana because they have done such a good job. I have noticed a big difference personally. I've been working the weekends for the last 2 years. So I can say that they're still here, don't get me wrong, but the manner in which the amount of them anyway has decreased. And they'll go to other, again, different cities and they're running amok. You know, in the middle of the freeway, I'm driving to work one day and you see just a bunch of tire burnouts in the middle of the freeway. You know, so what they'll do is they'll line up cars, they'll stop everybody, they'll do their thing for, you know, however many minutes, and then they all take off together. But they're doing that here, you know, they're trying to do it on the streets here, and that's why we have that street racing thing. So, you know, that's been helping, right?
What about the spectators?
So they can also, depending on what involvement the spectators have, they can be cited. I don't know if I call it arrested or not, but cited for basically encouraging. And then, sorry. So that's one other aspect of it is the people that line up it's like egging them on, right? And so people that do the spectating can be cited as well. I think that the biggest issue though is the people that do the street racing, because we're gonna kill somebody. Right, we're driving 100 miles an hour down the street, and you know, you and I are turning out of Stater Brothers. You're not expecting somebody to be doing 100, right? I understand that you're supposed to yield to oncoming traffic, but oncoming traffic's not supposed to be 100 on this, right? Yeah, not supposed to be doing 60, right? So there's an expectation there that we're gonna be driving within the means of the roads and the speed limits and, you know, the area. So the spectator thing is something that we have a tool, you know, that we can use. But if we got those people that are doing it, people won't have anywhere to go, right? You can't go watch it if the cars go, right? So that's, I think, been their focus. It might be something whereas if they don't find somebody to deal with as far as the car goes, they can go out with the spectators. But, the biggest success that they've had is taking the cars for things. You know, because that hurts, like you said, transportation, fees to get it out, having to go to court. So that's been very successful.
Well, get them in the pocket.
Well, that's where everybody sees it, you know, money talks, unfortunately, you know. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Another subject,
Okay,
on our streets, on the boulevards, I'm noticing there's a lot of cabanas that are serving food.
Mhm.
Oh, and it looks like it's getting out of hand, are they supposed to have a permit to do that? Is the health department supposed to come in and?
So my understanding is county health has partnered with, he's probably gonna speak with.
Next thing on the list, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, my understanding is county health has partnered with code enforcement to help address those issues. I know that we've helped, and we've assisted in that a little bit. They are the specialists though. We do partner with them, but that's not our specialty, if you will. But again, the council member is probably gonna be able to talk to that more than I can. However, it has been started to be addressed, and I know that some of our officers have said, yeah, we've assisted. I didn't know this was happening even until a couple of weeks ago, actually. But again, Orange County Health and our code enforcement, and then they'll send a couple officers with them to go do that.
So not yet, not yet. Just, he said Dave, and then I'm gonna give this to you.
Well, I just want to.
I'm gonna
ask the question about the. food.
No, I was going to get that because that was the next thing on my list about the pop-up. Street vendors with food, and I want him to handle that separately, and I wanted our patrol to talk about police issues, okay? Any other police issue? No?
You're welcome. You have my ear now, so if you have any questions about anything, by all means, and even if you don't, stop and say hi to us. We're out in the field and happy to answer some questions. The fact is, before we came over here earlier, some ladies said, "Hey, I have a question." We'll decide on those.
And you always have a home at 18 with food whiskey and that place. I have a big flag. And you're welcome to have some by that.
I appreciate
Or a
it.
soda or a drink.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I just learned today.
Yellow house, green with all flags.
Any other questions? Let me see.
Okay, everybody, hi. Okay, I'm Laurelhurst Christie. I am chair of Valley Adams Neighborhood Association. And this is my good friend, and where's Wendy, and this gracious wife Wendy back there. And this is our council member, Phil Sarah. And. Is it on? Hi, everybody. I'm here in Valley Adams. Wendy, Sarah, Phil's wife, and our council member, Phil Sarah. And I'm glad that you're here because we are. I know that the city shut down over 100 food vendors on Broadway, right? Go downtown area, right? And so what's happening when they shut down they're moving out over here. They're moving. So interesting. I went to Costco. At 4:30, they're popping up in Costco's parking. So that is Supervisor Doe's area. And I called his aide Ophelia and said, guess what? And they're selling food, hot food and everything else. So I mean, they're popping up all over the place. And of course, code after hours. Hardware and Warner by Hello Donuts. Cooking over the whole sidewalk with the big thing. So St. Gertrude and Greenville.
They're all up and down Bristol now too, on both sides of the street.
Yeah, so I reported it as I'm reporting. I said, by the way, we're feeling it. St. Gertrude, we had that. They were setting up this dirty cart. Absolutely filthy cart selling food, selling some kind of shaved ice, something with a wood apron. And I'm going, if this isn't a health problem, I mean, I don't know what a health problem is on that. So I would like for our council member to address this issue and help us out here because of the fact they're popping up all over the place.
Thank you, Alberta, and Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, no, the street vendors, it's a pain. And sadly enough, this is just another issue that the state of California in their infinite wisdom has decided that no. I want to say at least when they were talking about the law that they adopted, the impetus was, we're gonna help small mom and pops, right? So if you go, let's say, Manny MacArthur, you've got a person with a one little chest selling tamales. It's not the canopies, it's not the big gas, burners and all that stuff. But what has happened, and this is, as Alberta talked about, and our officer talked about, when you've got these gigantic pop-ups along Bristol and other places, they're not mom and pop. They're, in fact, what has happened is a lot of them are actually from Los Angeles. And I'm not just saying that generically, like, I looks like they're from LA. As our code enforcement and the county health folks have gone out to these pop-ups, they've been able to discern that they're from LA. In fact, some of these entities, again, not a mom and pop, this is, they've come out, they've multiple. So just to give you an idea a little bit about, so I'm gonna start with, and I forget the Senate bill that gave us this lovely treat, but so the Senate bill really handcuffed the cities. So you know that a food truck, like or just like a food truck, they get business licenses, at least the ones that are consistently operating in Centennial. They have a business license. These pop-up vendors, the state has said the city cannot require a business license. Oh, have you ever heard of that? You cannot require, so they've taken that away from us. So you say, well, what regulations do they have? ADA clearance. So can you get a wheelchair past these vendors? And I'm sure you've all seen, not all of them. The other thing is that they have to follow county health standards. And it's clear that they don't just pop it up. They're not establishing, they're popping it up. So what is happening is, so the city can go out there, bring a measure tape and make sure that they're ADA compliant. What do they do? They'll remove the pop up one way or the other. But it's the health standards. And this, if you guys saw a press release on the city issue, this is not, someone that, has meat that, that is 1 degree off in the cooler or whatever it is. I mean, there are some real disgusting conditions. I mean, some of us that'll go to a food truck or two, you are being a little adventurous, but these stands and how they store the meat and how they transport the meat. Yeah, I wouldn't send people I don't like there to those things. They're disgusting.
Like a third world country, basically.
Worse. I mean, literally worse, without a doubt. The stuff that our code enforcement documented, it's disgusting. But so what we're doing, so our former mayor Sarmiento is now our supervisor here. We're in County Supervisor District 2. So we hopefully with our former mayor and with our staff, we're going to have a lot more interaction when it comes to getting the county health folks to join our code enforcement efforts. So they've been going out on a couple of weekends and they have been able to take down a bunch of these. Now, here's something that'll just make you think that these are true mom and pops, right? So they've taken these setups. Now, again, full-blown gas grills, the canopies, I mean, pretty expensive operation, right? So if I said to you, I'm going to take away all that from you, that's what, 25 grand, you're out. So, we, code enforcement's taking these in. Guess how many are being picked up? If I took $25,000 from you, wouldn't you be a little bit curious about why I took it, where it's going? So these folks are literally just leaving it. That's how lucrative this business is. So these folks, they get popped. They take their stuff, they take their dirty meat, and then what happens? They just, they go back to whomever. And then they'll pop up again later. And so like, especially on South Bristol, we're having that where they're literally, they get popped.
Target and they're coming right back.
And I gotta tell you, I was hounding our staff. I said, guys, you guys are doing great work. Boast about it. People are not happy about these pop-ups. So let's let people know we're not sitting on our hands, we're doing something. So we got this great press release that goes out, and then the next day, they're right back like weeds. They pop right back up. So we're gonna need, I would advise all of us, continue to contact me and my colleagues, but also contact Supervisor Sarmiento. We need to make sure that they make county health officials available. to go out with our code enforcement, because I'll tell you right now, Alvaro Nunez from code enforcement, he's got his guys out there working. As a council, we've been approving more and more code enforcement officers. They were depleted for quite a while, and we've got them up to, I'd say at least the pre-last council levels, so they're in a good, healthy staffing situation, but again, because of the state law, the only two things that we can enforce against these pop-ups. ADA clearance. So they don't need a business license, because that was my first thing. I said, Alvaro, time to get the Excel sheet out. Let's start going through and see who's got it. Nope, that's off the table. So it's those two items. And we need to make sure that, you know, we have those resources. So again, the city's committed to going out, and what we're doing is going out. It originally started off as like 2 days. I know we're gonna wrap it up more and then do it at different days. So for the first couple, it was really the weekends. And like Alberta said, we got hundreds of these taken down, but they pop right back up. The other aspect, and this is kind of the sad part of it, is the human trafficking element. You know, so these are folks that, not all of them, but many of them are working off debts to some entity, because as they were transported into the United States, they didn't come for free. The folks that brought them, helped them get over, didn't do it out of kindness of their hearts. So they're working, and it's modern BC is what it is. And these folks, what's happening is when our staff approaches these vendors, they don't have IDs. And it's not because they, you know, they don't have it, then when they're done, like, when the truck comes by and they get into the back, who knows where these workers go? And it's we spot about human trafficking, and we, you know, we have these it's out in plain sight. It's right in our faces. So, you know, you'll hear folks that say, well, you know, people are just being mean to these vendors, right? You know, they're trying to make a buck. No, they're not. They are working for these entities that obviously have no problem sacrificing $25,000 worth of equipment every time they lose it. So I would ask you guys to remain vigilant, continue. You see them, haul it in. And yes, I know it's frustrating because you're gonna say, well, I called it, I saw them popping up at 6 o'clock, I called, they're still there. But what we need to do is build those cases. So as we go after them more, we're able to say, no, we've got you documented here, you were here. Real quick, just a couple of other updates I wanted to give you. So
Can you give a code enforcement number if you don't have
Yes,
it?
so there's flyers, those yellow flyers right there. Those are from code enforcement, and they have, the one next to it.
This way.
Yes.
Code enforcement.
So it has the numbers of where to call for the county and for, yeah, so all the information's there.
So yeah, definitely take that code enforcement. Will take.
Yes,
Yeah.
code enforcement put together.
So
Give
definitely,
you several, hand it out to your neighbor, okay?
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that people don't know about these. There's a lot of, you know, misconceptions about what they are. So I think it's really helpful. We're just gonna share this.
So you can pass it out to your neighbor. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay.
So while Alberta's handing that out, I just wrote a couple of quick updates. So the city council back in 2022 allocated funds for the individual council members to have assistants. So we have administrative assistants at City Hall. So when you call and you want to make an appointment with me or leave me a message, there's somebody that takes that down. But as you probably have seen with like your congressmen, your state county officials, they sometimes have their own staff that comes with them. So I've hired Andrew Linares to be my counselor, right? So hi, Andrew. Andrew will be helping me on a whole variety of things. So, you know, if you see him out and, you know, you, for some reason, are trying to get a hold of me, you haven't been able to, just definitely connect with Andrew. Another thing, well, I guess this is more on a little semi-personal level. So, you know, council just installed one new member, well, two new members actually. One of which is the first female mayor in the history of the city, Valerie Mesco. And so Valerie's on the council. We had one other member, and then for when we did our last council meeting, one item that came up was commission or committee assignments. So, there's regional boards and commissions throughout Orange County. There's Orange County Water District, sanitation, and all these others. So in the city of Santa Ana, this goes back quite a few years, the city joined the Orange County Fire Authority. So when you call for paramedics or fire, you get it from the OC Fire Authority. So Santa Ana has a representative on that board. I was just appointed to do that. So if there's any issues on that, let me know.
Am I still your historic resource?
Absolutely. Don't you think about, in fact, this upcoming council meeting, Mayor Mesco is going through her appointments. Irma Hardy will be joining on your commission. At this point, the only other thing, well, two things. One is, like Bob Barker always tells you to, spay pet, spay your pets, neuter them. The other thing I always try to close with is please use the My Santa Ana app. And if you don't have it, please get it, because I'll tell you, I walk my dog every morning and we just, all the graffiti we can get, because you leave a little bit of it, it leads to more. Always does. And I'll tell you, it broke windows, exactly. Any little bit reported, the contractor we have is amazing. I mean, within 1 to 2 days, the graffiti's gone. In fact, they were doing such a good job. The parking structures in downtown that the city owns and operates, the upper floors, especially during the pandemic, they look like, talk about 30 awful. I mean, disgusting. And this is what most people see when they first, they're hitting on the feet. Yeah. And here's this parking structure just littered with graffiti and whatnot. So we actually amended our contract with that contractor to include those parking structures. So if you're in downtown, you get out of the car, you see something, snap the pic, hit submit on it and report it, and they'll take care of that as well. So please use that. You can also report code violations, homeless encampments, and they'll get folks out there for that. And so I know Alberta's got a Target gift card to give away, but like last time, I come prepared too. And I got two. I've got one
See
for,
what happens when you come to meeting?
so I got one for Little Onion
You're gonna have to bring gift cards.
and another one. So how many of you have gone to Baja Fish Tacos over there on? So
See, my little $25 gift card fee.
we're just sweetening the pot. That's all we're doing. We're sweetening the pot.
Andrew. Give us your phone number.
My phone number?
For Andrew.
I'll let Andrew give us phone.
It's there. What's there?
Oh.
I mean, to the rest of them. 714
851
851
8565.
8565.
Could you repeat, please? I couldn't hear the first after 714.
Oh, 851.
851-8565.
8565.
You know what, when I was on the council, we didn't get fancy jackets. We didn't get anything except for our carts were on this nice kind of buff color with gold and blue. That was it, okay? And we didn't have an A.
Alberta, this is the 21st. I was thinking that.
Okay.
So we'll do this for the, what is that, yeah, we'll see for the Little Onion. What do we got here?
It's a great place. 236.
383-236?
236.
236. Oh, who's got 236?
Gotta be somebody.
I don't think anybody.
Don't
will ever know.
say
She has 235,
239.
What is he at?
234. So someone that came after. Yeah.
338-3240.
Yes.
Try again. 383-234.
That was Tim. That was Tim.
You go.
Thank you. La va a gustar ese. Hasta mira ahí. Muy delicioso. 238.
Who's got 238?
That's the last number.
What was that?
No, that's for Baja Fish Taco.
That's good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, so is this for the target?
It's for the target, or J.
Target.
J.
383239.
Whoa. Enrique.
You put the every time, you know, not, no, you can.
Yeah, but that's what I.
You're right, you gave it to the
I
kid.
gave it to.
Yeah.
So if you guys need anything from me, I'll be here, but yeah, I hope I covered as far as your updates. Was there
Thank you.
any questions you guys had as far as any other items?
For you, to contact you?
714 647 6900.
Thank you.
And then email is PBACERRA Santa-Ana.org.
Oh, gracias por venir.
Oh, 714
Sí, claro.
647 6900. 6900.
That's Councilman Phil. Okay. Oh, my, thank you so much. Okay, now, I think it's time that our next meeting. Oh, yes. Our next meeting is March the 8th, 2023. Write those on your check. Free. Okay. If you do check, you can say, what's the check? Okay.
And that's here again.
Here, green print.
Sí, la aplicación de mañana.
Okay. A lot of information here. One of these organizations that I do want to bring aboard, well, actually two, okay, two. As a follow-up with the Narcan, okay, Narcan. What I didn't think about it, we should have had an EMT person, medical person. So next, March the 8th, we're going to have like EMT. And of course, code enforcement.
Yes.
Code enforcement, we haven't had them out for a while and they can bring us up to date, okay? Two important things, and maybe we can put this as EMT training for your job.
We're
Or
gonna have like the fire folks come out.
come out and do us kind of like, or show us something, how to use that now that we are going to be.
La próxima.
People that are going to be lifesavers, we do need kind of a training on that,
Sí,
okay?
voy yo más.
We do, have code, and then, of course, we're gonna have updates from Valley, but can't wait for that auditorium.
Es el 8 de marzo. Lo mismo.
You have.
Aquí mismo aquí.
Can't wait for the culinary arts.
No es. Ya.
Down this way, Glenwood. So the first part is the automotive, which is connected then with the culinary. There's actually, it looks like it's two buildings, but it's one building. And so that's coming up very rapidly, and the opening date for that, we're hoping to move in August 2023. So the beginning of next school year, we're gonna have those two buildings, and that building open, and then the auditorium is gonna follow August 2024. So that's another year. And I'll bring pictures, because I always bring pictures. Next time I'll bring some renderings of what it looks like. Again, it's gonna be gorgeous, the auditorium. And it'll be open and the community can use it. And so we're very, very excited.
It
about
looks like a theater in the round, like you want to sell popcorn or, you know, something with a nice.
I'd say it rivals Sagers from Theater. That's what they-
Yeah.
Smaller, but.
Banner on the fence said that about the theater, they were doing a theater also.
Yes, so then the theater, the auditorium, we use interchangeably with the theater, yeah. It's more of a, right now, it's like, well, it's nothing now, you go into shell now. But previously, it was more like an auditorium type, very nice, I mean, it hadn't really been renovated since we opened in the late fifties. Yeah, and now it looks like a theater, theater, so, yeah, it's gonna be gorgeous.
And we are very pleased with the construction.
Have they been good?
They've been good.
Yeah.
In fact, they
I'll
took
let you
care
know
of
that.
the problem where one of the truck drivers was speeding down Center Street.
Oh.
And the neighbor followed him and they talked to Chris. And Chris gone after them, one of the manager there.
Yeah,
and so
Chris
forth.
is the lead.
Yeah,
lead,
And especially the neighbor is an ex-marine or formerly a Marine, you know, so they got this big early body.
I think actually, surprisingly, we haven't heard a lot, or it's, the schools were pretty quiet too. They did demo one building, that was a couple days of dust. But other than that, it hasn't really disrupted our school, other than just having a big construction zone in the middle.
Well, we are privileged because of the fact our street is clean. Not only with the city street sweeper, but with the construction. Also, has that stone, very clean.
Good, I'm glad, so it is better than last night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's Stevie and March of the cockroaches. Oh, we'll never get that one.
Alberta, one last question for our councilman and also our principal. I know that Colin Lake was gonna look into the contract as co-chair between the school and the city regarding our wonderful exercise equipment and sharing the parks. Do you guys, excuse me, do you both know anything about that, how it's coming through? Because so far that hasn't opened up.
So I know the schools and the city have been talking about joint use.
Correct, joint
Agreements
use.
with different
So they're
facilities.
still in process.
I don't know the status of anything for Valley, but I know that it's been one of those things where. What I prefer to see happen is city manager, superintendent, hammer it out.
Okay.
Bring us the finished product. And so at this point, I don't know where they're at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I can inquire. I can
I'll
ask
put it on the
some
next
facilities,
agenda
yeah.
because I think it's important everyone was interested in that, because I like to see this opened up. Yeah,
The over on rate there, that area on rate.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, and the thing is that there's always been the talk of trying to do like a blanket joint use agreement. You can't, because every facility has a different little thing about it. In fact, before our last parks director left, Lisa Rudloff, she put together a matrix of all the different sites and just kind of some of the details, and yet you don't see a lot of repetitive.
They're all
descriptions.
complex, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll give you one quick one. So you got Greenville Elementary, right?
Mhm.
Little known fact, city owns that space, which is Eugene Reset Park. But the school district manages, whereas in a lot of other cases, say like Willard, that facility is obviously school district land, but then the city, kind of takes it as a park, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm saying. So you got a lot of these different little nuances with each park. So I think it's painfully slow, but we'd rather get it right. In fact, just to give you an idea of how long it's been taking, Godinez had a joint use agreement, and now they're already talking about revising it. So
That's a long time. Yeah.
that's what I mean, yeah, so.
Yeah.
You know how it's low, 98 to the present.
The 1898 Alberta.
I didn't get that. It's so cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming out and also, and of course, school and everything, and Queen Bee. And of course, let's get right ahead. Are we still on or are we on? Nobody's on.
No one's on, it's recording.
Okay, all right. Remember, next meeting is March 8th. at 6 p.m. here at Valley Wellness, okay? Have a wonderful week, everybody. Thank you.